The morning I found a giant yellow boot clamped onto my Audi in my own driveway, I thought I was hallucinating from too much cold brew. But no, there it was, gleaming like a parking enforcement trophy, complete with a laminated notice taped to my windshield in what I swear was Comic Sans font. HOA President Patricia Lawson stood at the edge of my property line, arms crossed, wearing her signature power blazer and that smirk that could curdle milk. Violation of HOA Regulation 7C. She announced to no one in particular, unregistered vehicles on display. She spun around to admire her handiwork, probably mentally preparing her victory speech for the next board meeting. Then she froze. Her face went from triumphant pink to ghostly white in about 2 seconds flat. Sitting on the park bench across the street, casually sipping coffee and reading the morning paper, was Judge Samuel Brennan of the state Supreme Court. My neighbor, my poker buddy, and the man who had literally written the book on property law violations in residential communities. Let me back up. I moved to Maple Grove Estates 3 years ago because the commute to my engineering firm was short and the houses had decent garages. I keep to myself, mow my lawn exactly when required, and my idea of living dangerously is occasionally playing jazz music past 8 p.m. on weekends. The first time I met Patricia Lawson, she was measuring the distance between my mailbox and the curb with a tape measure. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said without looking up. "You're 7 inches off regulation. They'll give you a week to fix it before I file a formal complaint." That should have been my warning sign. I bought a new Audi last month, trading in my perfectly functional Honda because, well, I'd gotten a promotion and wanted to treat myself. Big mistake. The car was sitting in my driveway without plates because the DMV was backed up, and my temporary tags had expired 2 days earlier. I had the paperwork to prove it was registered, just waiting on the physical plates. Normal stuff that normal people understand. But Patricia Lawson doesn't do normal. She runs our HOA like a small dictatorship where the Constitution is a 3-ring binder full of rules she probably dreams about at night. I've seen her patrol the neighborhood at 5:30 a.m. with a clipboard photographing infractions like some sort of suburban commando. Last year, she fined the Johnsons for having their trash cans visible from the street for 37 minutes after pickup. She once measured my grass with an actual ruler, declaring it 2 inches over regulation height. The woman carries a color wheel to ensure holiday decorations meet the approved palette. And she actually made Mrs. Chun take down her Chinese New Year lanterns because red and gold weren't in the winter color scheme. Her crowning achievement was creating a 17-page document outlining acceptable fence stain colors, complete with PMS color codes and required gloss levels. So when she spotted my plateless Audi, she saw her chance to make an example out of me. It started with the warnings. First, a passive-aggressive note tucked under my wiper. Then an official notice on HOA letterhead. When I explained the DMV situation at the monthly meeting, showing my temporary registration and receipt, Patricia literally laughed. "Excuses are just permissions to fail," she said, tapping her gel nails on her binder. "Rules exist for a reason, and that reason is property values." I tried reasoning with her. I showed her emails from the DMV about the delays. I even offered to cover the car with a tarp until the plates arrived. She responded by taking photos of my driveway at 6 a.m. for her evidence file. Then came the special enforcement meeting she called just to discuss what she termed the vehicular compliance crisis in our community. She actually created a PowerPoint presentation with photos of my car from different angles, complete with red arrows pointing at the empty license plate holder. The other board members looked uncomfortable, but nobody wanted to challenge Patricia. She had a way of making your life miserable if you crossed her, and everyone knew it. I thought it would blow over once my plates arrived. I was wrong. Patricia had apparently decided I was a threat to the very fabric of Maple Grove society. She started citing obscure sub-regulations I didn't even know existed. Did you know that according to Section 12F, vehicles must be parked at a precise 90-degree angle to the driveway edge? Neither did I until I got that violation notice. Or that cars must be washed monthly to maintain neighborhood aesthetics. That was Section 8B, subsection 3. She was literally making up reasons to fine me, and the fines were adding up. $200 here, $300 there. I started keeping a folder just for her notices. Then she escalated. She hired a private vehicle immobilization company, the kind that usually works with apartment complexes and commercial lots. Without any warning, without any legal authority, she had them clamp my car on my property in my own driveway. The notice claimed I had 48 hours to pay $1,200 in accumulated fines plus a $500 immobilization fee or they would tow it. That's when Judge Brennan entered the picture. Sam had been my neighbor for 2 years, retired from the state Supreme Court but still sharp as a tack. We played poker monthly with a few other guys from the neighborhood. He knew about my ongoing battle with Patricia because I'd vented about it over cards. That morning, he was enjoying his usual routine of coffee and newspaper on the bench the city installed at the small park across from my house. He had a perfect view of Patricia supervising the clamping, taking photos for her files, and actually high-fiving the guy from the immobilization company. Sam told me later he nearly spit out his coffee when he saw what was happening. He knew the law better than anyone. And what Patricia was doing wasn't just wrong, it was criminally illegal. Private citizens, even HOA presidents, cannot authorize vehicle immobilization on private property. That requires a court order, law enforcement involvement, or at minimum, proper legal proceedings. Patricia had none of these. She was operating on pure audacity and a misplaced sense of authority. Sam didn't confront her right away. That wasn't his style. Instead, he finished his coffee, walked calmly back to his house, and made some phone calls. The first was to his former clerk, who now worked in the state attorney general's office. The second was to a buddy at the county sheriff's department. The third was to a reporter he knew at Channel 9 who specialized in consumer protection stories. The fourth call, the one that would really seal Patricia's fate, was to his golf partner at the IRS who specialized in nonprofit organization fraud. Turns out Patricia had been embezzling HOA funds to finance her enforcement campaigns, billing the association for private security companies that were actually just her cousin with a boot and a bad attitude. By lunch, Patricia's phone was ringing off the hook. The immobilization company, suddenly realizing they'd been duped into committing a crime, rushed back to remove the boot with apologies. The guy actually looked terrified, muttering something about losing his license and asking me not to press charges. I told him to talk to the judge across the street. The HOA's insurance company called an emergency meeting with the board. 3 board members resigned on the spot rather than face potential legal liability. One of them, Bob Sterling, actually stopped by my house to apologize personally. I never wanted this, he said, but she had dirt on everyone. Did you know she keeps files on every resident? Photos, violations, personal information. It's like the Stasi but with better landscaping. The county prosecutor's office opened an investigation into false imprisonment and extortion. The IRS launched an audit into 5 years of HOA financial records. Channel 9 showed up with cameras just as Patricia was being served with a cease and desist order. She tried to slam the door, but the sheriff's deputy politely informed her that obstruction of justice would be added to her growing list of charges. The look on her face when she realized she wasn't being interviewed about her leadership excellence was priceless. She actually tried to straighten her blazer and fix her hair before realizing the cameras were there for a very different story. But Sam wasn't done. At the next HOA meeting, which had record attendance thanks to the news coverage, he stood up during public comment. In his calm, measured voice, one that had delivered hundreds of legal opinions, he explained exactly how many laws Patricia had broken. False imprisonment, extortion, conspiracy to commit fraud, abuse of fiduciary duty. He cited case law, precedents, specific statutes. He explained how every homeowner who had ever paid one of Patricia's made-up fines could sue for damages, how the HOA itself could face dissolution, how Patricia could face personal criminal charges with jail time. The room was dead silent except for the sound of Patricia's lawyer frantically taking notes and occasionally whispering in her ear. When Sam finished, you could have heard a pin drop. Then someone started a slow clap. Soon, the entire room was applauding except for Patricia and her 2 remaining allies on the board. The recall vote was unanimous. Patricia was removed as president, effective immediately, banned from holding any HOA position, and informed that criminal charges were pending. The county prosecutor, who happened to be another poker buddy of Sam's, filed charges 2 weeks later. 12 counts of extortion, 15 counts of fraud, 1 count of false imprisonment. Patricia tried to claim she was just enforcing the rules, but the judge wasn't buying it, especially when he saw her evidence folder with photos timestamped at 5:43 a.m. The trial was swift. Patricia's own meticulous documentation worked against her. Every illegal fine, every made-up rule,